PERT is a project management technique used to manage uncertain activity of a project. One is to minimize the ideal resource, another one is to minimize the total cost of the project. These are very important objectives in network analysis. A technique for planning and controlling of a time. What is CPM means? It's a method to control cost and time. Hello dear students, welcome to this session of our Operation Research class. I am Mr. Niranjan, faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. Today in this session, I am going to discuss regarding network analysis. So, the definition of network analysis and a problem and a few definitions, as well as there is one important concept today which I am going to discuss is the difference between a critical path method CPM and the PERT, Program Evaluation Review Techniques. So, that is very important concept which I am going to discuss. First of all, let us know what is meant by network analysis. So, network analysis is nothing but planning and controlling a project. So, to control, we are going to plan. So, the planning and controlling a project to get a good result is called the network analysis, and we are going to represent them in a diagrammatic form. So, that is called as network diagram. Now, what is network analysis? Network analysis is the method of planning and controlling the project. So, the method of planning and controlling the projects by recording their interdependence. So, the method of planning and controlling the project by recording their interdependence. This is an important interdependence in a diagrammatic form. So, controlling as well as planning can be recording their interdependence in a diagrammatic form is called a network analysis, which enables each fundamental problem involved in it to tackle separately. So, we can solve the fundamental problem involved in each and every steps. Now, a project is a combination of interrelated activity which must be executed in a certain order before the entire task can be completed. So, that is nothing but a project means a project is a combination of interrelated activity. The combination of interrelated activity which must be executed in certain order before the entire task can be completed. Then, an activity is a project usually viewed as a job. Here, activity in a project is nothing but a job is usually viewed as a job requiring time and the resource for the completion of that project. Now, let us come to the objectives of this network analysis. This is an important question. So, you may expect one question from this. What are the objectives of network analysis? There are few main objectives of network analysis. What are the objectives? Let me list the objectives, then I will explain in detail. To minimize the ideal resource. The first objective is to minimize the idle resource. To minimize the idle resources. So, to minimize, we have to minimize whatever the idle resources are present. Next, to minimize the total project of the cost, that is, the cost of the total project is to be minimized. So, one is to minimize the ideal resource, another one is to minimize the total cost of the project. These are very important objectives in network analysis. And to trade off between time and cost of the project. So, the trade off between the time as well as the cost of the project, and also to minimize the production delay. So, the delay in the production can also be minimized, and also interruption and the conflicts can also be minimized. So, to minimize the conflicts, interruption and also the delay in the time can also be minimized. So, that is the production delay, interruption as well as the conflicts can also be minimized using this network analysis. Now, to minimize the total project duration, this is very important. So, to minimize, to reduce the total duration, that is the total time of the project can be reduced, to minimize the total project duration. Now, let us explain one by one. What is this to minimize the ideal resource? Now, to minimize the ideal resource means allowing for a large variation in the use of limited resources. So that is allowing for large variations in the use of limited resources maybe disturb the whole plan. Therefore, thus effort should be made to avoid the cost incurred due to idle resources. That is allowing for large variations. So, if you allow for large variations in the use of limited resources, then that may disturb the whole project, whole plan will be disturbed. So, therefore, thus the effort should be made to reduce, to avoid the cost incurred due to the idle resources. That is the first, nothing but minimizing the idle resource. And the second one, to minimize the total project cost. The cost of the total project can be minimized. How we are going to minimize? The total cost of the project can be calculated and the effort can be made to minimize the total cost by calculating the cost in the delay. So, first we have to calculate the total cost of the project can be calculated, and then efforts are made to reduce, to minimize the total cost by calculating the cost in the delay, cost of the delay in the completion of the activity of the project. So, in addition to the cost of the resource required to carry out the jobs at various speeds, that is nothing but the normal or overtime rates are to be paid. Okay. Now, the next third one is to trade off between the time and the cost, means to trade off between the cost and time of the project, means the idea of the trade off between the time and cost project is centered on the idea that the duration of the same activity can cut down if additional resources are allocated to them. That is, the time activity can be cut down if additional resources are allocated to them. Next, to minimize the production delays. This is very important concept. To minimize the delay in the production can be analyzed using this network analysis. That is one of the objective of this network analysis. So, to minimize the project delay on the interrupts as well as the conflicts, this is achieved by identifying all the activities involved in the project, their precedence, constraints, etc. Next, to minimize the ideal resource. How to minimize the ideal resource? Just allowing for large variations in the use of a limited resource may disturb the whole plan. So, here allowing for the large variations in the use of limited resources may disturb the entire plan or entire project. So, thus the effort should be made to avoid the cost incurred due to the resources. These are the main objectives of the network analysis. Now, you may expect one question for 5 marks from this. What are the main objectives of a network analysis? Now, let us come to the very important concept, that is PERT. What is the meaning of PERT? Let me discuss now. PERT, Project Evolution Review Technique. PERT, Project or Program Evolution Review Technique or Project Management. Project Evolution Review Technique. So, in the project management has now been evolved as new field with the development of two analytical techniques for the planning and scheduling and controlling the project. So, there are two important techniques for planning, controlling and scheduling the project. These two techniques are, one is the critical path method, another one is the program evolution and review technique, PERT and CPM. CPM and PERT, these are two important techniques which are developed for planning, scheduling and controlling of the project. Now, let me explain what is this program evolution review technique, or this can also be called as a project evolution review technique. PERT is nothing but a project management planning tool used to calculate the amount of time it will take to realistic finishing a project. So, a PERT is a project management planning tool used to calculate the amount of time it will take to finish the complete project. The amount of time taken to complete a project, to finish a project, that is we are going to use this PERT. That means this PERT is a project management planning tool used to calculate the amount of time it will take to complete the given project. Now, what is this PERT stands for? This PERT stands for Program Evolution Review Technique. So, PERT charts are tools used to plan tasks within a project. These are the plans and tasks are used within a project, making it easier to schedule and the coordinate team members accomplishing the work. So, this PERT stands for Program Evolution Review Techniques. This is used as a tool for the tasks within a project for making easier to schedule and coordinate the team member to complete the task, to complete the project. Now, let us come to critical path method. What is CPM? In the examination, they may ask define CPM for 2 marks. It's a 2 marks question. Now, critical path method is a step-by-step project management technique. So, a step-by-step project management technique for processing, planning that defines critical path or non-critical tasks with the goal of preventing time frame problems and the process of the problem. So, what is the definition? So, critical path method CPM is nothing but a step-by-step project management technique for processing, planning that defines critical and non-critical tasks. Okay. Now, the CPM is ideally suited for the project consisting of numerous activities that interact in a complex manner. Okay. The basic steps involved in the CPM are, let me explain what are the basic steps. So, first of all, let us know what is CPM here means nothing but the step-by-step project management method to process a planning that defines critical path, non-critical tasks with the goal of preventing time frame problem and process the problems. Now, let us come to the very important concept CPM. What are the step-by-steps here? So, the basic steps employed in the CPM, the basic steps, what are the basic steps employed in the CPM are determine the required task. So, it will determine the required task, least required task in the sequences and create a flow chart including each required task. So, we have to create a flow chart including each required task and identify all the critical and non-critical relationship. That is, identify all the critical and non-critical paths among the required tasks. So, first one is to determine a required task and to list the required task and to create a flow chart including each required task and identify the critical and non-critical path among the required tasks and assigning an expected completion or execution time for each required task. Assigning the time is very important to complete or execute the project and study all the critical relationships, determine all the possible alternatives or backups for as many as possible. So, these are a few steps involved in the critical path method. Now, let us come to the very important concept, that is the difference between PERT and CPM. This is very important. You may expect this for 7 marks for your examination. You may expect this type of question for 7 marks. What are the difference between CPM and PERT? That is PERT and PERT and CPM. Now, let us know what are the differences. What is the first one? PERT is nothing but project management technique used to manage uncertain activities. So, this is nothing but a project management activity. That is, PERT is a project management technique used to manage uncertain activity of a project. Whereas CPM, critical path method, is a statistical technique. This is an uncertain activity, whereas this is a statistical technique of the project. CPM is a statistical technique of the project that management and the managers will define activity of the time So CPM, statistical technique of project management that manages well-defined activity of a project. Here the uncertain activity, the activity is uncertain, whereas the activity is a definite activity which manages well-defined activity. Here the activity is indefinite. This is the first important difference. Okay. Now let us come to the second point. Actually what it is a technique of planning and controlling the time. PERT is nothing but, what is this? PERT means a technique for planning and controlling of a time. What is CPM means? It's a method to control cost and time. Here, this is nothing but a method to control the cost and the time, whereas PERT is a method, is a technique of planning and control of time. Planning and control of time. Here, control of cost and the time. Now, what is the orientation? So, this is event oriented. The orientation for this is event. This is an event oriented. This is an activity oriented. So, the orientation here is event oriented and the activity oriented for the PERT and the CPM. Now, let us come to the model. What is this model? This is probabilistic model. This one is a probabilistic model, whereas this is the deterministic model. Okay. Now, let us come to the next point. Evolved as research and development project. The evolution, how this evolved. So, these PERT is evolved as research and R&D department or research and development project, R&D, research and development project, whereas the CPM is evolved as a construction project. These are construction project and these are research and development project, very important concept. And next, let us come to the focus. The main focus is on time. The focus on time. So, the main focus of PERT is on time, whereas the main focus of CPM is on a time cost trade-off. Time as well as cost and cost trade-off. Time cost trade-off is the main focus of this CPM. Then next difference is, so what is the appropriate decision here? High precision time is estimated. So, the high precision time is estimated for PERT, whereas the time estimation is very reasonable. The reasonable time estimates for this CPM. So, this is very important. High precision time is estimated for a PERT, that is nothing but a project management review technique, involves a high precision time for the estimation, whereas critical path method CPM will have the reasonable time estimate. Okay. Now, let us come to the next. This is used in research and development project, whereas these are used in non-research projects like civil construction, shipbuilding, etc. So, where we are using this research and development, whereas this CPM is used in non-research projects like civil construction and shipbuilding, etc. Now, what is the crashing concept here? Here, not crashing concept is not acceptable, not applicable, whereas here applicable. That is the crashing concept. Crashing concept is not applicable, whereas crashing concept is applicable for this PERT. So, these are the major differences between PERT and CPM. So, definitely this is very important question. So, just if you list at least 5-6 differences, you will get a full marks from this. Okay. So, these are few concepts and basic definitions and the differences of a network analysis. Now, let me take one small example based on this network analysis. Now, let us come to a problem. What is the problem given? A project consists of the following jobs whose time estimates are given below. These are the time estimate. Find the critical path and the total duration. So, what is required to find is the critical path and the total duration. So, the project consists of the following jobs. So, what are the jobs? These are the jobs 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 2, 3, 2, 5, etc. 6, 7. So, 6 to 7. Now, this number of peoples will do this job in how many days? 15 days, 15 days and 14 days like this. So, what is required to find is the CPM, critical path and the total duration. So, critical path is to be determined and the total time is to be determined to complete this project. Okay. So let us draw the diagram for this. Let us write the network for this, then we are going to analyze. Okay, let me start with the first 1, then 2, 3, then write down 4, 5, 6 and 7. Okay, let us represent the diagram for this. Now write down the values. Here it is 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now let us write the arrow diagram. 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 2. So 1 to 2, how many days it will complete? Time is 15 days. Again 1 to 3, this is 1 to 3. How many days again it is? 15 days. Okay. Then 2 to 3, 2 to 3, it is 2 to 3. In 2 to 3, how many days it is? It requires 3 days. 2 to 3, 3 days. So again 2 to 5, 2 to 5, this is 2 to 5. 2 to 5 will have 5 days. Again 3 to 4, 3 to 4, 8 days. Right. And again 3 to 6, 3 to 6. So this is 3 to 6, 3 to 6 is equal to 12 days. And again 4 to 5, 4 to 5 is equal to 1 day. This is 1 day. Again 4 to 6, 4 to 6 is 14 days. 4 to 6 is 14 days. And again 5 to 6, 5 to 6 is 3 days. This is 5 to 6, it requires 3 days. And 6 to 7, it is 14 days. Okay. Now write down the critical path. That critical path will be 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 6 and 6 to 7. That's all. These are the critical path. The critical path is 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 6 and 6 to 7. So the critical path is 1 to 2, again 2 to 3, again 3 to 4, again 4 to 6, again 6 to 7. This is the critical path. Now let us write the earliest starting and finishing time for this. Now at the node 1, 2 and 3, I'll write here at the node, at node 1. So initially at the node 1 it is 0. Node 1 we will have 0. So here it is 0. Okay. At the node 2, at node 2, node 2 we will have 0 plus 15, this is equal to 15. So at node 2 it is 15 and 15. Next at node 3, 15 plus 3. At node 3, 15 plus 3, that's equal to 18. Next at node 4, we will have 18 plus, at node 4 18 plus 8, this is equal, 18 plus 8 is equal to 26. Again at node 5 plus 1, at node 5 26 plus 1 is equal to 27. So 27. At node 6 we have this 14 plus the previous one, that is 26. So at node 6 this 26 plus 14, that's equal to 40. See here, this and this is to be considered. Now again finally at node 7, node 7 this 40 and the last one 40 plus 14, that's equal to 54. That's it. So therefore here we have at node 6 that is 40, at node 7 what we have 54. That means this is the total time. So therefore the total time, the critical path, this is the critical path 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 4 to 5, 4 to 6, 6 to 7, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 6 and 6 to 7, and therefore the total duration is, total duration is equal to 54. That is 54 days is required to complete the project. That's it. Okay. This is how we are going to solve using critical path method. And at different node 1, 2, 3, 4, the total time is 54. So this is how we are going to solve. This is very simple concept. So just by knowing the earliest finish time and starting time, we are going to calculate the total time to complete the project. So these are how we are going to solve a simple network problem. That's all regarding today's session. Let us meet with the different concept in the next session. Thank you very much.